Me and Austin, we're going to be reviewing the first little arc, I guess, of Berserk right now. And that covers the very start of Berserk 2, where they kill the slug man, Slugoid, his name is in the book.
So his name's the Count.
The Dr. Slug.
Story. Dr. Slug.
It starts off pretty, I guess, still gruesome. He's having sex with like a lady, and then it turns into a demon lady, and then he blows her face off, which I mean, I guess is normal.
Just to let the reader know, this is how the story's going to go for the most part.
Yeah, that's. I think that's the very first page.
It is. Yeah.
The killing of that demon girl. But then you kind of get into him walking around killing people, and he goes to this other town where there's this. They're called apostles, and they're just like these big demon boys. They look like humans, but they've taken this sacrificial thing, so they can become demons. They had to sacrifice something very precious to them, and then they become like super demons. And
but they also have to have a baylet, which is this like egg that's like fucked up, has a nose like there. It's
like
really odd.
It's like a face.
Yeah.
But people who use that and then sacrifice something they love, they can talk to the God Hand and then become a apostle, which is like a human that looks kind of off, and then in dire times it can transform into like a monster demon and be like super strong. So the first half is kind of, or the first like beginning of Berserk's kind of like a plane. It's like he just walks into town and he's acting like a badass. He's killing people and saving people, or he saves Puck. Puck's all stupid.
He doesn't really save Puck. He just kind of It kind of just kills the guys that he wants to kill, and somehow they just were fucking with Puck, which is a little fairy kid thing.
And he's not the cool Puck yet. He's not like the cute chibi Puck. He's like the weird little boy Puck now. So Guts goes in further into town, and he tells people to tell their big boss to let them know that the Black Swordsman is in town, and the big boss guy, he's an apostle. He's a snake guy. They kill him. Not really much.
He's pretty much called the Baron, and he's just he's like held up in a castle, pretty much eating all the villagers, and the mayor is pretty much supplying it so he doesn't get killed.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part.
But the first part isn't really the really interesting part. It's kind of like cut and dry. Guts good guy walks up to Snake Boy and kills Snake Boy. Goes on, but the second part's where it starts getting real good. Where they talk about the slug dude. If you want to talk a little bit about Slug Boy, which I think is his name.
So he's the Count, and like he his military is called the Inquisition. He pretty much when he comes into town, he kind of knows who's the apostle, which is this big brawling guy who's the head honcho over there, and it starts out with him like cutting off like little girl's head because supposedly she disagreed. It's not really clear. It's just kind of like
he said that she was a heretic. He's trying to kill round up all the heretics in the city or village or whatever and kill them all.
Mm-hmm. And so Guts, being all badass, he just touches a little bit of his brand that bleeds every single time there's an apostate around, and just marks it on his neck and kind of stares at him, kind of saying, "You're fucking dead," which I thought was fucking badass. And then he pretty much just pushes them to say, "What are you gonna do about it?" by getting the severed head and throwing it at the slug dude, or the human version of him. And of course, the guards all see this and just start running after him. He gets stopped in about a few moments, and he's like, "Bring it the fuck on!" And the big honcho, which name is Lord Zondark, I think his name. He's the captain.
Yeah, it's really lame.
Yeah, it's a really lame dude. It's like, "Mr. Big Boy
Zondark is here.
Thunder Danger Cat is here."
Yeah, that's exactly my name's Big Danger.
And within a few swipes of his sword, he breaks the captain's sword and then fucks him up pretty badly. The shards like go into his skin, and he kind of falls down. They retreat, and within all this chaos, there's this one pretty hermit-looking dude. I think it's called.
I forgot this.
I can't.
Zargon?
Zargas.
Sargas.
Vargas.
Vargas.
Yeah, and so he gets rescued by him. He goes into his little, pretty much a little shack, and I guess he used to be the castle's doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like at some point, I think that this was like the time where he became an apostle, so he doesn't really need to heal anymore. He kind of self heals, so he's kind of just fucking with everyone at this point.
Yeah, he's just torturing
And of
everyone
course,
in the big
he's
slug
torturing
guy.
everyone.
The big
So.
slug guy torturing everyone, not Vargas.
No, Vargas, no. And Vargas pretty much witnesses him like torturing his children and eating him. Of course, and thankfully he gets away, not for lots. And of course, Guts, being Guts and kind of being a grittier guy, he kind of just pushes him aside, say, "Fuck off, you're a loser. You should have fight," even though he has like no legs, no arms, and he's kind of just a walking corpse almost.
Yeah, well, that's what the slug guy does to him. Is he cuts off he tortures the Vargas. He cuts off his legs and his arms. And that's why he's
kind of
gross.
lets him watch so he doesn't struggle.
Mm-hmm. And then he ate his family in front of him, and then the guy got away in a secret passage.
And of course, being Puck, and Puck is always kind of like telling Guts, "Come on, dude, don't be that much of a dick."
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, guy, calm down, guys."
He got a little too hard. Now, while this is all going down, the captain's pretty much losing it, saying, "Oh, I lost. I can't believe I lost my honor." And then the
count,
pretty much the count pretty much comes in and is like, "Oh, you really hate the Black Swordsman?" And like, yeah. So he pretty much gives him a piece of him, like a little slug that he like has to ingest. I pretty much forcibly, I would assume.
Yeah, he throws up the slug from his mouth into the other guy's mouth.
Yeah, and then within seconds, the captain walks out, looking like he's a foot or 2 feet taller, sharp teeth. He's like, "I'm ready to fuck shit up." Of course, he within seconds of that, he goes back to Guts and Vargas, where of course the captain finds him immediately and starts fighting him. Of course, he cuts him up pretty badly. Guts cuts up the captain pretty easily, but then the slug monster kind of starts showing when he cuts off his limbs, and gets into a really intense fight until the whole roof collapses and they find their way to escape.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, Vargas helps them escape, and they're like, "Hey, just give me the fucking egg." Oh, Guts says, "Give me the fucking egg, and I'm gonna be on my way."
Spoiler: he has an egg. We didn't say that, but Vargas has an egg.
Bailiff, which is a bailiff. Mm-hmm. And of course, he walks off with it, and Puck says, "Sorry, he's being a dick. He's just kind of a fucked up guy." He's just like, "Oh, it's fine." And it's a little helpful to kind of see Vargas as a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's just like, "Oh, it's okay, little dude." And of course, he gets captured immediately afterwards
by the slug
by the captain. And of course, the next day, he's about to get executed, and it's a public spectacle. And Puck's like, "Why don't you guys save him?" And Cut says, "No, because it's a trap." He kind of just says, "See how everyone's kind of guarded, and there's over 100 soldiers outside of the area. So when I run in, they're all going to just blitz me."
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, his head cuts off, and Vargas says something, "I'll drag you to hell at some point. I swear to it."
Yeah, he says.
Spoiler: he does.
He says, "Black Swordsman, chop off his head and deliver it to hell," or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Mm-hmm. So while this is all going down, Puck tries to stop the execution and fails miserably, but is captured by the Count and given to the Count's daughter, who pretty much is a shut-in, forcibly shut-in.
For the last 7 years, she has been.
What?
For the last 7 years.
Yeah, the last 7 years, she's been pretty much stuck in her room. And of course, she's happy that she gets a friend, which is a little fairy. Mm-hmm. But she also kind of sees that, this isn't okay for me to do the same thing my father's doing to me. So, of course, she lets him out and says, "Go ahead. I don't want you to be like me." But, of course, it's tearing up because, she just lost another companion to talk to. But, Puck comes back and says, "Don't worry, I'll be back." And she's like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, fuck yeah. Cool." And so he runs to the castle. And he doesn't really know exactly where to go to find the Count until there's a giant hole that explodes right next to him. He's like, "Oh, that's probably it." And of course, Guts is being tossed around like a rag doll at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much getting his spine and ribs like smashed until Puck comes in and kind of. I don't think he really does much. He just kind of said he tries to like distract the Count, who was like in full slug form at this point.
Yeah.
And then Guts, in this little moment of Puck distracting him, he gets the like little assistant of the Count and kind of dresses him up as the cape to kind of give him a chance to get a striking blow. He misses, of course, and he's about to get killed by the slug monster. But with all this like slamming back and forth, the castle starts collapsing, and the daughter of the Count thinks this is a good time to run because the door comes off its hinges, and so it's like, oh fuck, let's run. And unfortunately, she goes into the wrong room, which is where her father is, and the Count finds out, oh no, my daughter now knows I'm a monster, and Guts figures out this is the time to strike, so he cuts. So this is something that wasn't described earlier. He has a prosthetic arm that can turn into a cannon and a bow and arrow, or a crossbow.
He doesn't turn into a crossbow. He just has a crossbow.
Oh, that he like mounts on the gun.
He just mounts on it. Yeah, he just like flips his arm out, and there's like a cannon there. Or like he slams like a crossbow thing on it and he fires.
Yeah, that's pretty much how he does it. And of course, he shoots him once in the eye and then cuts off his head. Mm-hmm. And within this time, I guess the bailiff's like on the one of the little corners in the room there, and the Count's blood starts streaming towards the bailiff. And the Count, pretty much says, "I don't want to die. Please, for the love of God." And Guts is kind of rubbing it in his face by bringing his severed head, which is still alive, over to the daughter and saying, "Look how proud you are."
Wait, hold on. I want to interject real quick. So,
okay.
The girl, I believe her name's Teresa. So when she busts, Teresa or Teresa, something like that. So she busts into the room, and then the Count he's a big slug boy now, and he's fighting Guts, and like slug boy's been like beating up Guts like the entire time. Guts been getting like, some hits in here and there.
Guts has not had one good shot in so far.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Don't look at me, Teresa." He puts his like slug hand out to try to touch her, and she runs behind a pillar. And then Guts runs back at that pillar.
Like any human being would.
So Guts runs at that pillar, and then he grabs Teresa and uses her as a shield. So the only thing that Count Ray loves in the world is his daughter. That's like why he does everything. So he's not going to attack Guts while she has the daughter, and then Guts bazookas the Count in the face, and that's when his face is on the floor, and he grabs the Count's face, who's like just a giant slug head at this point, and he brings it over to his daughter, and he's all, "Look at this," and he starts like just constantly hacking at the Count's face.
You want to see something cool?
and that's when the blood starts pouring out everywhere and goes into the how do you say it?
The Baillet?
The Baillet. It goes into the Baillet, and then he summons the God Hand at that point.
Now, this is probably the most interesting kind of artwork of the chapter, I guess. Or the arc, rather, because it goes into like a parallel dimension where it has like stairs going in every direction.
It's like that one painting of like the stairs going into every which way.
I can't remember who
I don't know.
Drew that.
I don't know who painted it. No, I don't know. The guys from Simpsons probably.
But this is kind of a big pivotal point towards Guts, because this is the first time you see him staring at one of the God's Hand, which are these 5 Ultra Demons. And he calls one of them Griffith. Whatever. And then they call him Femento, which is the dumbest fucking name I can think of.
Femto's like Femento. He also calls him Griffith, though. In that scene.
Yeah, he calls him Griffith, and like you can read into it and says, okay, these two know each other from somewhere.
Yeah, because
and of course,
they
Guts
know each other's name.
So fucking intensely angry, and as he gets closer to Femento or Griffith, he gets even more, and his brand becomes undyingly painful. He's about to pass out, but he takes one more strike. But Femento has this like psychic ability.
Force, yeah.
Yeah, and so he just pushes him away and says, "Fuck off. You're nothing but a scrambling around sacrifice. So fuck off while we talk to the Count. And you kind of get a backstory about the Count at this point, where why he became an apostle, which because he used to be an actual nice, decent guy, and he was just killing this like cult following. And then he came back one day and found out his wife was part of the cult, either freely or unwillingly, but she was pretty much riding a goat devil.
Yeah, there's
in this orgy type thing.
There's this ongoing thing. Well, me and Austin have already read a lot of Berserk so far, and there's this ongoing thing. I'm not too sure what it is, but there's this like orgy witch thing where there's this like giant goat devil like thing, and people have like orgies with this thing to like what's it called, to like praise it or whatever.
Yeah, it's a weird cult that has when you get more into the story, you see it a lot more, and it unveils its kind of culture and how it begins and how to start the goat devil thing from starting and whatever as you go into more in the book.
Yeah. So
but for right now, you're just introduced into this, what the cult is.
Yeah, you just see this
very general.
And it's big too. This goat is like, I don't know, like 10 feet tall or something. It's huge.
Pretty much.
So the Count walks back. Or, you want to go for it?
Okay.
All right. So the Count comes back from killing people outside, and he comes back inside, and he sees his wife having the orgy with like this devil goat thing. And then, like a blind rage, he freaks out and he kills everything except for like the goat thing. I think the goat thing like runs away or something like that. Because I don't think. Okay.
No, what happened was he can't kill his wife. That's the big thing. I think the goat it just like disappears because.
Yeah.
It doesn't really just explain why the goat disappears.
Yeah. But so he kills everyone in the thing, and he's going to kill his wife, but he can't kill his wife. And she's like smiling. She's like, "Oh yeah, you can't kill me or whatever." And then on the table of this room, there was one of the egg things, the helmets, and it has all this blood soaked into it. The Baelets. I say helmets because there's like an L in it, isn't it? It's like Belhet.
Yeah, the H is silent.
But okay, anyways, so the God Hand gets summoned, and they're like, "Hey, do you want like super cool powers?" And he's like, "Yeah." Like, well, you have to sacrifice something you love. And he's like, "This is a slug guy that counts."
You want to see something cool?
So the Count's like, "Oh, well, I only love my daughter and my wife. But my wife's a jerk right now, so just sacrifice her." And they're like, "Oh yeah, cool." So they sacrifice her, and we should mention this a little bit beforehand. But during all this that's transpiring, what's the God Hand and Guts and the Slug Boy and Puck, the daughter's there too. The daughter's watching all this happen too. So she's seen.
Yeah, he gets teleported into this realm as well because
I believe by Conrad. Is Conrad the small one? Conrad's one of the members of the God Hand. I don't remember.
I don't know. It's not known at the time. Other than
their
Memento,
names, yeah.
what the rest of them.
It does say Voids. Yeah, it says Archangel Void. But anyways, so she's seen all this happening in front of her, and she's like, "Well, I never knew that my mom did this, and then my dad sacrificed her to these angel god people." So then, what's it called? So the slug dude says, "I want to live. Give me more power or whatever, and kill the Black Swordsman." And they're like, "Okay, but you need to sacrifice something to do this." And the slug dude's like, "Okay, well, sacrifice Guts." And they're like, "We're not going to sacrifice Guts. First, Guts is already branded. And second, you have to sacrifice something that's means something to you. And Guts is just an enemy. You have to sacrifice something that you really love." And the slug dude's like, "Well, there's nothing I love other than my daughter." And then she's like freaking out. And then they're like, "Yeah, we'll just
Void points out. Oh no, Femento points out. What can I sacrifice? And he points to the daughter.
He's like, "Okay, do it. Oh yeah, go for it."
Yeah, he pretty much just says, "Fuck, I can't do that." He's just like, "Well, you're gonna die then." It goes into a kind of a really intense scene where it's kind of like, "Are you really gonna do this to your daughter? The only thing you care about left?" And at that point, Guts pretty much tells Puck, "Give me my arm, or try to heal my arm," because I guess all fairies have somewhat of a healing power agent to them, so they can heal portions of the body, and Guts just needs his prosthetic arm to work so he can shoot a cannon at Femento. And because they're trying to stop the sacrifice for the little girl, but it ultimately doesn't work. Femento just destroys the cannonball that she gets launched at her, but the Count doesn't make a decision and dies. Mm-hmm. And there's this really disturbing like coil that comes out of this vortex that is in the background of the whole staircase.
Yeah, it said that's hell. That's
hell. I can't remember exactly what they use, but it's like pretty much a whirlpool of just misery of bodies. And this like little sliver of a tornado of human flesh comes and grabs him. And at that point, you see my boy Vargas picking up the dead slug head.
And he has full arms too now.
Yeah, and he has this full body now, and he's like, fuck. And Vargas is like, it's time to pay, motherfucker. And at that point, you're like, fuck yeah. And it ends with Guts, Puck, and Teresa going back to the castle, which is pretty much destroyed. And Teresa, who understandably has kind of mixed feelings about everything right now.
Yeah.
And just wants to kill Guts because it's just like, what the fuck have you done that make me feel better? And she wants to kill her. But Guts, oh no, she wants to kill herself first off.
And Guts throws her a knife.
And then Guts, being an asshole, is just like, yeah, kill yourself. I mean, come on, your mother and father is in hell right now. If you kill yourself, you'll be reunited with them. Mm-hmm. So why not kill yourself? And Puck is just like, what the fuck, dude? She just lost everyone. Is just telling her to offer herself too. And Guts just pretty much just walks away kind of sneering at her. And, Teresa's pretty much, fuck this guy, and tells Puck to go fuck himself too. And, Guts at the very end, which is interesting because he does seem like he's pretty upset about the whole thing. But I don't know if it's because he failed to kill Femento, which is Griffith, or if it's because, he's seen another human being going through the apostles and kind of being destroyed because the God's hand or whatnot. So
he's not really an asshole.
He's not a complete asshole. It shows some humanity in him, but you don't really know why he's upset.
He's more of a jerk in the beginning of the story. Later on, he's kind of more quiet and understanding.
Yeah, in a way, it's you see glimpses of it. It's pretty subtle.
I also want to bring this up real quick because we kind of glossed over it. But from the start where they fight the snake dude, and then it travels on to fight the slug dude, in between it, there's like a little small story of them traveling, which I just forgot, but I just remembered it now. Do you remember that?
Yeah. It's when he gets picked up by a carriage of a father and daughter. Mm-hmm. And then, of course,
I just want to summarize it super quick. They're just traveling through one spot, and they're like, he's like, I shouldn't run with you because demons attack me. And the dude's like, oh, sure, whatever. You're crazy. Just get on board. He's like, whatever, I don't care. So he gets on there, demons attack him or whatever. But the super cool thing that happens that I appreciate, which sounds kind of weird and gross, but the little girl in the story, she gets killed right away by like some demons. But then she gets possessed, and she stabs Guts. And Guts is like, oh, you would think like, oh, is Guts going to kill this girl?
But Guts knows, like, she is
like a demon.
She has a sword and is being a demon, but she just sees something that kind of makes her innocent, and he kind of just takes his guard down and gets stabbed right there.
Yeah, but then the next scene is he cuts her completely in half.
Yeah, it's fucking actor like a golf ball.
Yeah, it's just a super short transition of he gets on the scene, demons attack them, and he killed everyone who got contact with him except for Puck gets killed.
Yeah, so that's the first arc, I guess, of Guts. And I mean, me and Matt are both in the same when it comes to, we kind of like dark storylines. Mm-hmm. And this pretty much, and Matt, this is something that Matt said, is that he's kind of ruined dark storylines for him.
Yeah.
Because we have not seen one story that's more darker than the Berserk series thus far, anyway.
Like I remember we went to go see the Joker movie, and everyone's saying, "Oh, this movie's so dark. It's so dark and gritty and horrible." And then when I saw it, I was like, man,
Yeah,
this
the
is
Joker movie. I can't remember what it's actually called. Is it called the
it's
Joker?
just called The Joker, or just called Joker, the newest one, like 2019 one. Uh,
Yeah,
and it is not dark at all. It has like some like
yeah. It's
small beats of like mental health issues, but like it's not.
there was no Wild scene in there at all. Now, for those of you who don't know who Wild is, we'll get to
Wow, that's pretty
them.
cool. Everyone knows Wild, but
Yeah,
it's
he's a big church guy who says "Go with Christ" all
good,
the time. That's
good
what
family
Wild
man.
is.
It's a really good
Family
beginning
man. There you go.
to the story. Maybe it's a little kind of cheesy writing beginning because he's a big badass dude.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's probably made in the first issue. Was probably made in the '80s.
It
So this
is.
is like
It's very old.
this is the outline of his first version of this. Which, if you get the collector's edition, you can actually read the first edition of like his fight with the Count. It's not as specific. The artwork is not as good, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's still a great. It's a great read, and it's actually really interesting arcs that Guts goes through, and we like it.
Mm-hmm. But okay, so if we were just rating it, just like individual, like the arcs or the issues so far, I would rate the beginning of this like a 8.5. The beginning is a little iffy, but when you get to the slug guy, I feel like it already starts picking up and already starts getting real cool. So I say like an 8.5 for me.
When it comes to just the Berserk series, it gets a lot more interesting going through.
No, I mean just so
Um,
far
the,
rating it.
I guess so far, when it comes to just storytelling, I like this. Yeah, I'd say it's 8
Mm-hmm.
as well. The one thing that does kind of take some points down is the fact that when it starts out, it really hops a lot,
Yeah.
and then it goes through the main storyline because you're kind of like you're giving this guy who's missing an eye, has a prosthetic arm, and just it starts out with him fucking a devil, and you're like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah,
It goes into a town, and then it goes into a little cottage area. It bounces a little too much. And you don't really know what's going on, but the story kind of tells you in the action kind of way, which is I really like. They don't do as much. What's the word I'm looking for here? They don't do info dumps with like different characters. They kind of just go with the whole story. Yeah, which is better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say.
All right, so yeah, I got so it'd be like an 8.25 total. So it's very good.
Yeah.
We're hoping to do this more often. Just do like a little.
Yeah, me and Matt really enjoyed the series. He's read the most of it. I only read the collector's editions,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not as far into the story as Matt is, but as they come out, and I mean they're still making ones, but this is the big thing, and we can stop the video right here. Is that this guy who makes this is taking way too long to finish it.
You back off.